Hey guys, so tonight's mukbang is going to be my version of homemade chicken noodle soup. And I used to make this all the time when Lacey was small. Anytime she got sick with a cold or the flu or something, instead of opening up a can, I always made my own chicken noodle soup. And this is what I did. So for this chicken noodle soup, we're going to be using chicken broth. We're going to be using celery, noodles, a small can of peas and carrots, and some chicken breast. So we've already chopped up the chicken. It was actually 2 thinly cut chicken breasts, and I just went ahead and chopped it up. So Lexi's going to go ahead and add it to our water. And yes, there we go. Yeehaw. Drop my phone. And we're going to boil the chicken. This is really the only way that I think I can get the chicken pretty tender, and it's gonna be quick since I chopped it up. I used to didn't chop it up, but I found that might be better, just to chop it up and get it in there. And we're gonna bring it up to a boil and go ahead and cook it that way. Okay, so I've already got the chicken out and I've put it into a bowl. I'm gonna shred it up actually. So what Lexi's gonna do is she's gonna go ahead and start adding the noodles to the water. And stir those around. This is when we decide how much chicken stock we're going to put in there. And give her the chicken stock. She's going to add some chicken stock so we can cover all the noodles up. So we need the noodles very tender.
Yeah, we'll add a little more water.
Yeah. She's wanting to save some of the chicken stock for potato soup, y'all. And she's going to go ahead and add the celery because the celery is fresh, so it needs to go ahead and get tender as well. So she's going to add that in there. And she's going to stir all that up, and then we're going to bump it up again. I had turned it down just a little bit. So now we're going to bump it up. And now we're going to let the noodles and the celery soften while I shred up the chicken. So now that the noodles and the celery are starting to soften up, Lexi's going to go ahead and add the chicken, which I have shredded, back into there. And she's also going to add the, get on this side. She's also going to add the peas and carrots. Make sure you drain the peas and carrots. You don't want all that juice that they have in there. It's drained. She's going to add those in there. She's already seasoned with salt and pepper. And she seasoned the chicken again with salt and pepper as well. And now we're going to turn this down and let it simmer just a little bit. Okay guys, so this is the chicken noodle soup. It's homemade chicken noodle soup, and it's chicken noodle soup the way I used to make it. You want to show yours, Lexi? Or you?
I barely can, but
I don't know if y'all can see. There you go. We use those big yummy egg noodles. And obviously you don't have to put celery in it and carrots and peas in it. You could just do the noodles and the chicken. You could, if you want a vegetable in it, you can. I know most chicken noodle soup in the can is just chicken and broth and noodles. But then if you get like Progressos, they have vegetables in it. And like I say, when Lexi was little and she used to get a cold or she'd get the flu or something, I always would make homemade chicken noodle soup. And she always loved it. And so we thought, we got chicken, let's do this. I'm going to have some crackers with it. And guess what? I didn't get in a paper towel. But it's easy, obviously. And it's almost like it's a no-brainer, okay? I mean, everybody probably has their own idea of chicken noodle soup. So I've already had a taste test from her dad, who said it was really, really good. He gave it like the thumbs up. And the only thing is I hate those cotton picking on the celeries. I'm going to one day figure out how to get all those out. So the little celery hair things, you know what I'm talking about, those
strings.
They're like strings or something. But anyway, is it too hot? It's good stuff. You know, this would probably be something better when it's like cold outside, because we're in the South and typically we go from like winter to summer. day at a time, you know, like today's winter, tomorrow it's summer kind of thing. But we're into spring really, really good, and it's been in like the 80s and stuff. So this isn't actually one of the times to eat that. It's just this was really easy, and we had some chicken on hand, so that's why we did it. It's something different because I don't want so much mukbang.
The same thing. Right?
Yeah, with the same meals over and over. I want it to be something different, even if it's McDonald's chicken nuggets. Okay, I want it to be different.
And we can do the same mukbang maybe like a few months from now or a year from now, but it's just we don't want to do it constantly within the week.
Yeah, and maybe if we repeat something, we'll just sit and talk with you and eat, and we won't go through the whole cooking process, which this really wasn't a huge cooking process.
Now it does help during the Great Depression.
It really does.
We might be going that route soon.
We'll never know. Our economy's tanking.
And how expensive everything is.
Everything's so doggone expensive. It's not even funny. But
you barely have anything in your cart, and literally it's already $100.
But on a lighter note, we hope you guys have had a good week. This is Friday, and we typically don't record on Fridays. We try to take a day off from recording, editing, all those kinds of things. But Lexi had went ahead and started the video response to something that had been left, a comment that had been left on one of our other videos. So I do have that one to edit. The thing is 2 hours long. Okay, it's a lot of reading and a lot of explaining, so I got to trim it up a little bit. I'm probably going to try to do that. I'm thinking about doing it tonight, and if I don't, I'll probably do it tomorrow. But this isn't pay week, so I shouldn't have to go out and get groceries or nothing.
I'd say you probably do a little bit of it tonight, since tomorrow we got exercises planned and some videos to do.
Yeah.
And I gotta have Sunday to study.
Yeah, she's got Monday. She's got a psychology exam that she actually has to show up to the school for. Now she's been doing stuff online.
Why am I doing it at school?
But she's gonna have to go to school and take the exam. So. So there's that.
Dang, this is good.
And I think you got a really
Hair.
for real.
Yep, there we go.
No, I still see it. It's fur. It's raining fur instead of raining men. It's raining fur. Hallelujah. And if y'all are really young, which I'm sure you're probably not, you won't understand the song. But there was a song. It's raining men. Hallelujah. It's raining men. It's raining fur here at the house. Obviously, you can do any kind of noodles you want. If you know how to make your own noodles, hey, bravo, you could do that.
It's just too expensive to do that right now.
Some people just can't afford to do this. I'm one of those. I can't really afford to do any of that. And if I could afford it, I don't know how, okay? If I could afford it, I would still buy my noodles, okay? But we hope everybody's had a good week. Our week's been sort of kind of normal. Her dad had an issue with a diabetic ulcer on his ankle, and it starting to abscess. So Wednesday I did have to take him to urgent care because, long story, see if I can make it short, the family doctor he's been seeing for about 3 years changed to a different hospital, and that hospital, my insurance won't cover there because I am employed at another hospital within the area. But since his doctor went to the other hospital, and our hospitals, like the hospital I work for is in one area, and the hospital that she went to is like in a different area. The areas are side by side, but it's two different hospital systems. And a lot of times when you work at a hospital, they usually want you to use those facilities and physicians and specialty care within the hospital. So basically, we don't have what you call out-of-network benefits. So I can go to any doctor, physician, specialist that we want to. But if they're not in network with where I work, and it would be the same thing where most other people work at, they will be allowed to go to certain places and not other places in and out of network. But I have to stay within my hospital's network. So he's actually on a waiting list to be seen by a new family doctor. Yeah, Lexi is too. They both had the same doctor. But they're both on a waiting list to get established with this new doctor, and they can't be seen until summer. We're talking June, July. And actually, I was thinking Dad was in June, but I'm thinking his is in July because I stumbled up on it on my calendar the other day. And it was July.
Yeah, it's in early July. Mine's in like mid-July.
I don't know, but anyway, and I asked them when they said they had to put him on a waiting list. I'm like, what happens if we need, some pretty quick care? Not emergent care, but, you need a sick visit, or you need, because like his doctor always monitored his diabetes, because he is a diabetic. And basically what they said, there's not a whole lot you can do if you're not established with the doctor. You just can't come walking in the door. You can't be worked in. You can't make an appointment. They said you'll have to take him to urgent care. So
we drive a long way.
We had to drive the closest urgent care for the hospital that I work at was an hour away. Yeah, and I used to drive an hour. Actually, it was more than an hour going to work. To and from work, we're looking at roughly about an hour to an hour and a half. And we moved a little farther away after COVID and stuff, because we've been here about 2 years now, right?
Almost 3.
Yeah. So we've been here, so I'm actually a little bit further away than where I used to be. We used to live a little further into town, but now we're back in the country. Sort of the country. But country, if you don't understand what I'm saying. But, so we had to drive about an hour in the awfulest traffic. Oh my gosh, that's why I'm so thankful that our hospital allows the office workers, some of the office workers, billers and things like that, collectors, to work at home. It has done wonders for my anxiety, because my blood pressure was probably sky high. This happened on Wednesday. So I ended up having to take him to urgent care, although it was not quote unquote urgent. That's the only way he could see a doctor.
Well, it would be urgent because he could have lost his leg due to that spreading.
Well, I mean, it's still a possibility that it could. With diabetes especially, you need to, and I don't know if anybody that's watching is a diabetic, you would understand that you have to take really good care of your feet. He has developed a couple of diabetic ulcers on the great toe, or the big toe, on the end of them. Those have actually healed up pretty well. When he was still seeing his family doctor before she moved, she gave him an ointment for it, because there was he had problems with them really bad. They bled a lot being on the end of the toe. And those, we would bandage them, clean them, bandage them, and putting the Neosporin on and stuff like that. And I was like, we're gonna have to get your doctor to look at this. And she did, and she gave us an ointment, and I don't remember what it's called. I could go look, but it doesn't matter. So those have cleared up fairly nicely, but he has two. Well, it's one on each heel, and it just looks like it is a scab, maybe, where like when somebody's outside or inside and you bump your actual ankle bone, not the back heel ankle part, but the ankle bone on the side of the foot, it looks like you've bumped it and say you took that meat right off. That's what it looked like. But it had progressively just gotten worse and worse and worse. And this week in particular, his foot started to swell. And after the foot started to swell, which was, I think it started over the weekend, then I could tell that it was becoming infected. When some doctors look at things, it's always good if they'll use the kind of language that you can understand. Like, they'll tell you something's, if you say it's irritated, if it's aggravated, a lot of times it's red. I've heard doctors refer to stuff on my husband as, that's angry. Okay, so it's really red. So it was angry, and the redness started to go up his leg, and I'm like, okay, we're not going to be able to do anything about this at home. We're going to have to go. So we did. And fortunately, the physician there at the urgent care is very kind, very, very thorough,
Understanding.
very understanding. She knew that this situation is one of those where he's not going to be able to wait until he goes to see a new family doctor. This is going to be something that's necessary, and it's going to have to be taken care of quickly. So he was referred to a wound care place for hyperbaric and oxygen treatment. And they gave me a call today because Wednesday we took him to urgent care. They called me today. He has an appointment on Monday, which is awesome. So I'm looking forward to go ahead and getting that started and taken care of, because with diabetes, and those out there who do know, or you maybe have a loved one that has it, things can really, really go wrong with your feet.
Really quickly. Very quickly
when you have diabetes. A lot of times they end up with neuropathy. A lot of times people with diabetes end up with diabetic neuropathy. My husband's had that for a while. Legs, stinging, burning pains, and feet become sort of numb. So a lot of times when you go to the doctor as a diabetic, they will test your feet. They have like this little pin, and they'll drag it up and down, ask, can you feel it? They'll poke you with it. They'll touch each of your toes with it, make sure you're feeling. And my husband does have feeling in his feet. However, he says his feet feel like he has a sockle. And that's not anything to do with they're not soft. That's what the feeling is. It feels like there's sort of a barrier. So he does have neuropathy. So a lot of times when they can't feel their feet, they don't realize that they have something wrong with their foot, a cut. Maybe you stepped on a little something sharp and poked yourself or whatever. Ingrown toenails, things like that. So they have to really take good care of their feet. And my husband always has. But since he doesn't feel really well with his feet, what started, I think, the toe ulcers or the diabetic ulcers was that he had cut his toenails too deep, and he had also ended up cutting some dry skin off, and it started a whole whirlwind with that. So, but if you have diabetes, definitely, and I'm always telling him, I'm like, take care of your feet, man, take care of your feet. Especially since the sensation and the feeling is not the same. Yeah. So, the doctor did put him on some antibiotics. And we were on day, I started on Wednesday, Thursday. So, he's been on them 2.5 days. And he has to take those 4 times a day for 10 days. So we're doing that, but I'm really pleasantly surprised and pretty happy that
they're starting to heal up.
Yeah, now that's the thing, and I was trying to explain it to Lexi, and Lexi understood what I was talking about, and I was talking to one of my coworkers today. I said, you know when something looks bad, but it actually looks better? And she's like, yeah, I know what you're talking about. That's what his ankle looks like. It's like the place looks worse, but the rest of it looks better. It's like
the skin around is not affected.
Right, the redness is coming back down towards his foot. You know, it's not, because they were drawing on his leg, you know, where the red was. And they're like, okay, you need to keep an eye on this. If this goes up above this line on his leg, the red, you're going to have to take him to the emergency room. Because you can't, obviously, with diabetes and those diabetic ulcers and abscesses and cellulitis, they sort of kind of refer to it as cellulitis as well. You can lose toes, feet, legs because of diabetes. Obviously, it's bad with your eyes.
Which why they easily get with cataracts.
Yeah. I'm actually going to have to get him into an eye doctor because he is developing glaucoma. So we got lots going on. We still have issues with, you know, trying to figure out Lexi's situation. So there's a lot going on our plate. But that was this week. That was Wednesday. But for the most part, it could have been worse, okay? Anything could have made it much more worse. I'm just thankful that we got in. When we got to urgent care, there was not anybody waiting in the waiting room. We were there for several hours. They gave him an x-ray to make sure that the ulcer, that had not started to get into his bone. He was good on that front, so... I like weeks where there's not a lot going on. Because I don't want to deal with nothing else.
But most weeks we have a lot going on.
Mm-hmm. But I'm going to take Lexi to do her exam on Monday after I work. His mom has been kind enough to always take arts appointments that I can't get off for. I'm not taking off time for that. She's just going to take it after I get off work.
Because school does close at like 8 p.m. for at least test reasons.
Yeah. And some people do night school, so there's people there.
Mm-hmm.
So, anyway. So there's that. But we hope that y'all have all had a good week. We hope that y'all have a great weekend. And now that I've told you all about my husband's feet, you can die happy now, okay? Anyway, so she's already finished her soup, and I'm about to finish mine up, and we will see you in our next video. So thanks for subscribing, thanks for watching, thanks for thumbs ups, thanks for all that YouTubey stuff, okay? We appreciate you.